Most people complain that life is short, but Seneca begins his masterpiece on the shortness of life with a staggering correction. Life is long if you know how to use it. In this first block, we explore the Hegelian-like contradiction between our desire for more time and our reckless wasting of the time we already have. Seneca argues that we are not given a short life, but we make it short. We are wasteful of it because we live as if we are destined to live forever, never considering our own frailty. We spend our years in busyness, chasing status, worrying about things outside our control, and preparing for a future that may never come. In terms of personal growth, the first step is a radical audit of your attention. Seneca points out that people are incredibly protective of their property and money, yet they allow others to steal their time without a second thought. To grow is to reclaim your hours. This block focuses on the poverty of time that comes from living for others or for trivialities. If you are always preparing to live, life passes you by. We analyze the concept of otium, not as lazy leisure, but as time dedicated to the cultivation of the mind and the soul. To truly grow, you must stop being a strenuous idler, someone who is always busy but achieves nothing for their own spirit. Growth here starts with the realization that time is your only non-renewable resource. Seneca challenges the viewer to look at their calendar and see how much of it belongs to their own inner development versus how much has been surrendered to the noise of the world. Personal growth isn't about adding more tasks, it's about subtracting the unnecessary to make room for the essential. We conclude this block with the uncomfortable truth. You are dying every day. For every hour that passes is time that death already holds. Awareness of this is not morbid, it is the ultimate catalyst for living with intention. One of the most powerful tools in Seneca's arsenal is Premeditatio Malorum, or the premeditation of evils. While modern self-help often preaches positive thinking as a way to avoid anxiety, Seneca suggests the opposite. We should visualize the worst-case scenarios. He argues that what is unexpected is more crushing. By mentally rehearsing exile, poverty, or loss, we strip these events of their power to surprise and destroy us. This is not pessimism, it is psychological fortification. Growth comes from the ability to remain unshaken when the antithesis of life, to use a Hegelian term, strikes. In this block, we explore how visualizing difficulty actually creates a profound sense of gratitude and stability. If you have already made peace with the possibility of failure, you can act with much greater courage in the present. Seneca reminds us that the man who has anticipated the coming of troubles takes away their power when they arrive. This practice builds a citadel within the mind. We discuss how to apply this to modern life. Instead of fearing a difficult conversation or a career setback, we walk through it in our minds, realizing that even in the worst outcome, our character remains intact. Personal growth for Seneca is about becoming undamageable. It's the realization that while fortune, providence, can take away your wealth or your health, it cannot take away your virtue or your reason unless you allow it. This block encourages the viewer to stop running from their fears and to sit with them instead. By looking directly at the shadow, we find that it is often less terrifying than the act of running away. The goal is to move from a state of fragile optimism to a state of rugged resilience. You don't grow by hoping for the best, you grow by becoming someone who can handle the worst. In his work on anger, Seneca describes emotions like rage as temporary madness. For the Stoic, the path to growth is the mastery of the assents we give to our impressions. We are not disturbed by things, but by our judgments about things. This third block dives into the emotional discipline required to maintain ataraxia, or inner tranquility. Seneca argues that an angry person is a slave to their circumstances. If someone can offend you, they are your master. Therefore, the ultimate act of power is to remain indifferent to the provocations of the world. We explore the practical steps Seneca offers for emotional regulation, the delay. He tells us that the greatest remedy for anger is delay. When the ego feels bruised or the temper flares, the philosopher steps back and asks, "Is this truly harmful to my character?" Growth is found in that small gap between a stimulus and your response. In this space, you exercise your freedom. We discuss the idea that we suffer more in imagination than in reality. Seneca's growth model is about de-escalating the internal drama. We often ruin our own peace by adding layers of judgment to simple facts. "It rained" is a fact. "It rained and now my day is ruined" is a judgment that causes suffering. By stripping away the narrative, we reclaim our energy for productive action. This block teaches the viewer that their inner world is the only place where they have total sovereignty. To grow is to stop being a reactive puppet of external events and to become a proactive agent of reason. Peace is not something you find in a quiet forest, it is something you carry into the middle of a storm. Mastery over oneself is the highest form of mastery, and Seneca's insights provide the blueprint for this emotional sovereignty. Seneca was one of the wealthiest men in Rome, yet he practiced voluntary poverty. He famously advised, "Set aside a certain number of days during which you shall be content with the scantiest and cheapest fare, and ask yourself, is this the condition that I feared?" This block explores the Hegelian concept of breaking the master-slave bond with material possessions. Growth is hindered by the fear of losing what we have. By intentionally living as if we had lost it all for a short period, we break the chains of consumerism and anxiety. We analyze why this is essential for modern growth. We are often slaves to our lifestyle, forced to endure jobs we hate or stress we can't handle because we are afraid of a lower standard of living. Seneca's practice proves that the essentials of life, bread, water, a basic roof, are easy to obtain, and that true joy comes from the soul, not from luxury. This block is about the wealth of the mind. We discuss how simplicity leads to clarity. When you realize that you can be happy with very little, you become incredibly dangerous to the status quo. You cannot be bribed, you cannot be intimidated, and you cannot be easily manipulated. This is the ultimate growth mindset. It's about detaching your identity from your externals, your car, your title, your clothes. Seneca warns that he is a great man who uses earthenware dishes as if they were silver, but he is equally great who uses silver as if it were earthenware. The goal is not to be poor, but to be independent of wealth. By practicing discomfort, we expand our comfort zone until it covers the entire spectrum of human experience. This block encourages the viewer to simplify their lives to amplify their spirit. True wealth is not having many possessions, but having few wants. In the final block, we reach the synthesis of Seneca's thought, the cosmopolis, or the world city. Seneca, like Hegel later on, believed that we are part of a larger, rational whole. Personal growth is not just about me, it is about fulfilling our role as a social animal. We are born to help one another. Seneca taught that even if we are retired from public life, we can still serve the human race by writing, thinking, and being an example of virtue. This is where personal growth meets universal duty. We conclude the video by synthesizing the lessons: time management, premeditation of adversity, emotional mastery, and material detachment. All these tools serve a single purpose: to live in accordance with nature and reason. Seneca's final lesson is about the quality of the soul. He argues that at the end of our lives, it won't matter how long we lived, but how well we lived. As is a tale, so is life. Not how long it is, but how good it is what matters. This block is a powerful call to action for the viewer to stop waiting for the right time to be a good person. The time is now. We reflect on the idea that every moment is an opportunity to practice virtue. The video ends by reminding the viewer that they are the architect of their own fate. You cannot control the wind, but you can adjust your sails. Seneca's philosophy is a call to take the helm. To grow is to accept the divine spark of reason within you and to use it to illuminate the world. The synthesis of Seneca and Hegel reveals a life that is both a personal masterpiece and a contribution to the unfolding of the world spirit. While we wait for life, life passes, Seneca warns. Don't wait. Be the master of your time, the master of your soul, and the master of your destiny, starting this very second.